everyone. It's great to see you guys, and welcome back, or welcome for the first time. I'm Siobhan, and I thought today I would do something a little bit different. Normally I either vlog and you see my face and hear me talk, or it's painting and you don't really hear me talk a whole lot, and it's just music. This time I thought I would tell a little bit of a story time, maybe throw some music in there as well to break it up. This is going to be a fairly long video. Try and shorten it as much as possible, but this is a painting from start to finish. Now, what inspired me to do the story time is the set of watercolors I'm using, actually. But before we get into that, thank you so much for joining me. And let's get started. Okay, so the watercolor set that you see in the video, you may not see all of it, is a Prang Professionals watercolor set that I have owned for many years. I was trying to think of exactly how long I've owned it, and I'm almost certain that I got it in high school, which is slightly terrifying because that was a long time ago. But my dad bought me that watercolor set. I had shown some interest in watercolors, and so he bought me some nicer ones because I was using, I don't even remember what I was using before that, to be perfectly honest. But if I remember correctly, he gave it to me for Christmas, along with a bunch of other stuff. Some pastel pencils, a set of great drawing pencils, that kind of thing. He gave me a whole bunch of art supplies, a portfolio that I still use. But Dad passed away about 10 years ago. So I know the set is at least probably 13, 14 years old because I had it for several years before he passed away. And it's kind of sad, but my Prang watercolor set, excuse me, because I can talk, my Prang watercolor set is dying. The colors that I use most are mostly used up. There are some that you're scraping the sides to get a little bit of color off of. So unfortunately, it's going to be replaced. It'll probably still be kept around, partially because Dad gave it to me. But they're still very useful colors. I know they aren't light fast, but there are ways around that. But I do kind of want to upgrade as well. I'm getting more and more into it, and I think it's about time. But the story is not necessarily about the actual watercolors themselves. It's more about my dad. And it's not just one story, it's going to be a couple of little stories just about Dad encouraging me in art. Dad was an amazing sketch artist. I can't think of a single thing that I thought of as a kid that he couldn't draw from memory, or draw by looking at somebody. I have random sketches on random pieces of paper that I found going through some stuff where he was obviously, sketching at work or something along those lines, and they're fun. Unfortunately, I don't have any of his sketchbooks. I wish I did. I just have a few sketches here and there, ones that he did in my sketchbooks for me, that kind of thing. We'll get into that a little bit more. But Dad was really good at it. When he sketched, it was just impressive to watch. It was fast, but it was well done. Definitely sketches and not finished pieces, but I really enjoyed watching him work. And he's one of the reasons I wanted to become an artist, because I loved watching him draw. And Dad would draw for me all the time. When I was sick and he had to take me to the doctor if I had my sketchbook with me, he would draw me a picture. I specifically have a Pegasus that he drew me while we were waiting to see if my leg was broken once. I have a bunch of little sketches that he did. Unfortunately, most of his work ended up on napkins or scrap pieces of paper, because that's just where he doodled most. We would be out to dinner somewhere, and if we had paper napkins, he would be drawing on them. We would come up with all kinds of weird ideas that he would sketch up for me, or for us. One of the things we came up with one time that I remember very well, and I think I'm going to try and recreate eventually, is something called GI Jackalope. Now, I don't know if you know what a jackalope is, so let me explain. A jackalope is a mythical creature in the southwestern desert, which is where I live, which is a cross between an antelope and a jackrabbit. You will see taxidermied jackrabbits with deer antlers attached in certain places here in the Southwest, in bars and things like that, because it's a running joke and that jackalopes exist because jackrabbits are so huge out here. And they're absolutely hilarious to look at. And quite frankly, the idea of GI Jackalope was the funniest thing in the world. I think I was like 11 when we came up with this idea. But we were sitting in Taco Bell, and Dad took a napkin and drew it up for me. So it was a jackrabbit sitting on its hind legs, wearing, the deer antlers, because of course he was a jackalope, not just a jackrabbit, in full BDUs and combat boots. It was the funniest freaking thing. And I really wish I still had that sketch, but I'm going to have to recreate that at some point, I think. One of the other things that I remember really well about us creating together and then drawing up was Tickle Me Rambo. So we made Elmo into Rambo, gave him muscles and the bandana and everything. It was absolutely hilarious. We came up with that one on the way to school one morning. He was driving me to high school, I think. I'm pretty sure it was high school, to drop me off, because it was on his way to work. And so he would drop me off early in the morning. And those are some really fun memories. But he was always doodling somewhere. Like I said, usually on napkins. Dad had always wanted to be a professional artist. He wanted to go to college and become a graphic artist for magazines at the time, thinking Norman Rockwell-ish kind of stuff. I should tell you, Dad was born in 1944, so his college years would have been in the 1960s. Grandpa put a stop to that because he didn't think Dad could be successful. He didn't, not successful. He didn't want Dad to be a starving artist. Grandpa was a doctor, a military doctor. And he gave Dad a choice. You can either be a doctor or a lawyer. And Dad originally chose doctor. And then he got into some of the medical classes and realized he and blood did not go well together. So he very quickly switched to being a lawyer. And Dad was a very successful lawyer. And then, for some reason, Dad joined the Army. I think partially because Grandpa had been an Army doctor. But we all know there's no blood in the Army, right? Cynical joke, sorry. But but Dad joined the Army after law school and everything. He was a lawyer in the Army. And Dad actually enjoyed being a lawyer, but I think he kind of always regretted not being an artist. And I think Grandpa probably regretted Dad not being an artist as well. But at the time, it made more sense. But I think part of the reason Dad encouraged me so much when I got into art was because he didn't get the chance to be an artist. And so he wanted to encourage me as much as possible to do something that he didn't get to do. Alright, we're going to take a short intermission to watch a little bit of the painting. And I'll insert some music for you to listen to. I'll be back in a moment. where were we? Right. So back into it. Dad always encouraged me by buying me art books, books to learn and study from, anatomy books. As I think most or a lot of artists my age, I'm not telling you how old I am, but my age, I started by drawing anime, specifically Sailor Moon, because I loved it so much. That's when I got really, really into it. Before that, I did some stuff like drawing Disney princesses and things like that. Obviously, coloring books, things along those lines. And Dad was always keen to encourage me to do those things as well. But I remember very specifically one of the criticisms he always had was I always drew the bangs on most of the Sailor Moon characters because the vast majority of them had them, and then I didn't draw the top of their head. Their head stopped at their bangs. I'll see if I can find some of those drawings as well. I'm sure I have them around somewhere. But and he was always there to help me learn that people's heads don't stop at their forehead. You know, God, I did that for a really long time too. But, and to encourage me, he bought me sketchbooks all the time when I would fill them up. And he would show me how he drew something so I could learn, or give me a reference and tell me to try and copy it and see what I could do. And he bought me art supplies. Some were very inexpensive, some were, mildly expensive. He bought me my first set of Prismacolor pencils. He bought me most of my first art supplies. That weren't, crayons and things along those lines. But he was always encouraging me to do better and move up and improve my skills and try harder and put myself out there. And it was nice. It was nice to have that encouragement all the time. Dad always wanted me to succeed. And even when I went through all of, the little kid phases, I went through the dinosaur phase, I went through the Egypt phase, went through the anime phase, I went through the goth phase, and he didn't appreciate the spike collars and stuff very much, to be perfectly honest. But he encouraged me nonetheless. And I'm appreciative of that. I don't think I would be the artist I am today without his encouragement. But I finally decided when it was time for me to go to college that I wanted to go to art school. And I applied to the local university and I applied to an actual art school. And I actually got into the art school. I applied for a scholarship. I didn't end up going for a specific reason, but that's a story for another day, to be perfectly honest. But I went to the local university, and unfortunately I didn't get to finish my degree because Dad got sick. I would have been in my junior year at the university, and Dad got cancer. Okay, time for a short break. Have another song, watch a little more drawings. We'll be back in a second. Okay, back to the story. And I miss him a lot. And unfortunately, he passed away before I hit a lot of my big accomplishments in art. Before I sold my first piece, before I won a bunch of ribbons in the state fair, and before I feel I started to gain some success in art, before my first art show, you know, and it's sad. I wish he could see those things. I hope he can see those things. I wish he were here so I would know whether or not he was proud of me. Okay, that got a little dark. Let's move on. But I think you always miss encouragement from the ones you've lost. Now, don't get me wrong. And there are many, many other people in my life who encourage me in art, who enjoy my work just in my own family, my mother being one of them. My uncle was also an artist, you know. I was also encouraged by a family friend who's an amazing artist. But Dad was my first real encouragement, because watching him draw made me happy. And I wanted to make other people happy by sharing my drawings with them. And now with the help of, like, YouTube, I can actually share my drawing process, my painting process, with a lot of lovely people. So I really hope you enjoy it, and just take some time and really honestly enjoy just the serenity of watching someone else do art. I know we all have, as artists, have a tendency to compare ourselves to each other. But everybody's different. Everybody's skill level is different. Every painting is different. You can try and recreate the same painting 2 or 3 times and it'll end up different every time. Unless you're straight up printing it. You know? And that's not a bad thing. It takes a lot to be able to share your artwork with others. And it's a beautiful thing to do. It's a beautiful thing to share a piece of yourself with other people. It would just be nice to be able to share it with people who enjoy it. And so I hope that that's where you're at. You know, I still have my dad's art supplies. Not necessarily all of them. A couple of them exploded and I had to throw them away. But he had a blue fishing tackle box that I still very much have. And it has quite a few of his art supplies in it. And Leah has a few of my own in it as well, that I don't think I will ever part with. When you open the box, it just smells like graphite and charcoal in the best way possible. It's a familiar smell that takes me back to being a little kid. Because I remember finding that box and not knowing what it was because Dad didn't go fishing. And I've kept a lot of his stuff in there. And I use it occasionally. I don't draw with those materials much anymore. Mostly because I've found better materials. But it's just something that there's no reason to let go of. And it's nice to have around. Maybe, hopefully, I can find some of his sketches and share them someday. Not right now, but hopefully someday. maybe some of my old work, because that'll be embarrassing. Um, but, you know, as sad as it can be to lose somebody, you don't always have to lose all of them. And I have books and I have art because of Dad. And that's a great thing. And I love sharing that piece of him with other people. So that's why I'm sharing it with you. And hopefully we can all just encourage each other, because we're all different kinds of artists. It doesn't matter if we use a different medium or the same medium, we're all different people with different ideas and different techniques. And that's a really cool thing. This video has gotten a touch bit long, if nothing else, because the painting took a long time. But I hope it encourages you. I'm going to pop a little bit more music in and let the rest of the video play out, and then I'll come back at the end to say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time. If you'd like, follow on the links to my Instagram and my Facebook down below, like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. You have a great day, and keep up whatever you're doing.